the way all this is scheduled varies from movie to movie, from facility to facility, and it's really a matter of who is in charge of production, who the CG supervisor is, and because they take all this data and then they start organizing everything from a production point of view. Sometimes each team has a sequence, or sometimes one or more sequences, or some other times there is people that work on multiple sequences. Obviously that depends also on your role. If you are a modeler, you just get a lot of models, you get the models that you can do in that amount of time. But if you are a lighter, you're usually stuck on one sequence or two, or you finish one first and then you switch to another one. It's not really common that you have to work on too many sequences, because from a continuity point of view this is complicated to manage, and from an artistic point of view it doesn't really make sense either. So it's really a matter of scheduling things so that is the most efficient and practical way for everybody. So how do you manage this amount of stuff? What's used? So there is different softwares. A lot of companies have internal software, internal database that manage the whole asset list and the whole task list, and this software usually can print out graphs to check which stage of the production you are, and see how each task is related to each other. You can do Gantt diagrams. There is a lot of complicated things that needs to be done in order to see where you are in the overall movie production. Remember that a movie can take 1 year, can take 2 years to be done, and so if you start delaying things, if you start delaying shots or sequences, then everything collapses at the end of the movie and is a general pain.
It's all wrong. By rights we shouldn't even be here.
So it's really important to stick to the schedule as much as possible and have an overall vision that brings the projects moving forward, instead of basically focusing on too small things at the beginning to then figure out that we are late at the end. So obviously this depends a lot on the kind of supervisor you have as well, because the supervisor might be more picky, or it might be more of a project-oriented supervisor that has more view towards finishing stuff first and then refining afterwards, or there are other supervisors that are the other way around, so they want to finish everything and be very picky as long as they can, because at some point there's no time to be so picky, and so then everything gets rushed out. The software that manage all these complex tasks and this huge amount of lists are usually simply database software, and there is commercial solutions as well, and some of them are actually becoming very popular, like for example Shotgun. It's a popular software now. You can basically have a subscription plan based on the duration that you need the software for, and so it's very accessible to everybody. And Shotgun is a good software. There is a lot of complexity in it. You can have an overall vision of things, so you can see the whole movies, then you can see the whole sequence, then you can see the shot in the sequence, then you can see each task for each shot. Without this software it would be probably impossible to manage such a complex production, because things are so interconnected. If for example the look dev hasn't finished the character, then that shot cannot be final. And if there is a texture that is not good, that texture needs to go back to the texture department, then needs to go through the look dev department again, and then needs to go through lighting again, and then can be finished. But it's a lot of back and forth, and it's really hard to make everything work very well. So that's where the pipeline is really important, because the ability of versioning things and going back and forth in versions is really a fundamental aspect of the pipeline itself. So you want to be able to go to a previous version of an animation if the supervisor didn't like the last one, for example, or if the last one had some rigging issue and so couldn't be used. So one other thing I want to tell you is that basically each asset is version. Each model has a version, each texture package as a version, each animation as a version, each rig as a version, everything as a version, and you can go back and forth within some limits that are a bit more technical. I'm not gonna explain it here, but I will explain it in actual 3D CG course that I will start recording soon. And this makes so that the work is more or less error proof, and you can always go back and have something to work on, even if the last versions weren't so successful. And there are other things during the production phase, like for example trailers, or for example marketing material that needs to be done, and you need to be always ready to pick this stuff and getting it done. And usually these are things that you get on short notice, so you always have to run and rush to get them done. So these are really big projects, and that's why there is so many people working on visual effects. And also directors are very demanding now these days, and they really push the limits of what can be done. And what this means is that it's not just producing a 3D image, a 3D frame, but it's also pushing the technology and pushing the technical side of things. So you can do more and better and more incredible things. And what this means is that during the production, things don't always work. Something breaks, something doesn't work as you expected, and this means that your time always fluctuates a lot. And that's where a CG supervisor is really important, because he can push and pull and make sure that things move forward no matter what. And that's also why it's very important to have a solid pipeline and R&D department that basically helps you figuring out these problems, if they are technical, if they are tool problems, and so forth and so on. During the pipeline, there is a lot of coding that is done, a lot of tools are developed to help speeding out this process. And usually the software is locked, so you cannot change software versions unless somebody else has tested it and is approved and is fairly stable, so there are no issues in the production. If you start a movie with a version of a renderer, for example, you can update it if that's 100% stable, if it's 100% tested, and well, it's never 100% to be honest, but if it's been tested enough, and then you can put it in production. And even so, no matter how much testing you do, there is always something that comes out and bites you, and basically you have to go back, or you have to figure out alternative solutions. I think you should go and take a look at Shotgun. Obviously, if you are doing smaller projects or freelancing projects, you don't really need such a big software. But even if you are doing a commercial where there is a lot of camera movement and a lot of different shots, then a software like that will really help you, because it's much easier to take a peek at the whole project and also get into detail if you need to. And also it's easy to structure as well. So I also think as an artist it's really important that you understand how many interconnections there are between each department, and instead of complaining that something is not ready, you should just understand that there is problems everywhere. Somebody might have changed his mind at some point, and this meant that everything that came after that needed to be redone. So it's a creative process. In every creative process there is back and forth, and there's change of minds. And even if I'm doing an image for myself, even if I'm creating something, even when I go out shooting photography, sometimes the day after I change my mind and I don't like the picture anymore, and I changed all editing and I changed all processing just because I changed my mind. That day I didn't like it that much. And unfortunately, or fortunately, because this pushes the boundaries, pushes the limits of how beautiful images we can create, this is how the whole project also works. So it's still fairly technical. There is a lot of technical problems, but it's in the end it's a creative process. So somebody has to like what he's looking at. So as you can see, there is a lot of pieces in the big puzzle, and it's really important that people also understand how everything works, and that you also develop a mindset where you are trying to help the other departments as well.
His vocal processes were damaged in battle. I'm still working on them.
It's really important that you understand that you are part of a bigger group of people, that you don't only look at what you are doing or your department or your sequence or your shot, but you look at the whole picture, because a lot of tension and problems and frustration starts when you only think at what you are doing. But you always have to have a bigger picture in your mind and understand that there is delays, there is error, mistakes, technical issues, software issues, creative decisions that needs to be taken, and everything has to work together towards the common goal of the deadline. And that's a very complicated thing. If you are starting out now the 3D production, you will understand how complex it is if you, as I suggested in the other videos, start doing little projects on your own, and you write down what you want to achieve, and you write down all your notes. And you will see that you will need to fill in every single gap that is in the complex 3D production when you work alone. And so while you work on your own projects and you grow up in your 3D career, you basically will understand better how the process works. And if you want to be a generalist, or if you want to specialize in something, I suggest you to go watch the generalist versus specialist video that I posted some time ago. So I hope this video helps you understanding a little bit more how tasks are divided and how things work. And if you like it, please like it, leave a comment below, feel free to ask any questions, and share this video with your friends, and please subscribe to this channel as well. And I'll see you soon. Bye.